What really happened after Raccoon City fell? Or why someone is digging into secrets buried for over 30 years? Resident Evil Requiem isn't just another survival horror. It might be the key that ties the entire franchise together. From a forgotten survivor's bloodline to a city that refuses to stay dead, something's coming, and it's personal. My name is Midnight, and today, we're breaking down the hidden layers, wild fan theories, and the potential future of Resident Evil Requiem. Return to Raccoon City. After years of wandering through castles, villages, and remote islands, Resident Evil 9 finally brings us back home, to where it all began, Raccoon City. But this isn't the Raccoon City you remember from Resident Evil 2 or 3. The city is long gone, reduced to rubble and decay. What's left is a ghost town, a massive graveyard frozen in time. The aftermath of the government's decision to sterilize the city with a missile strike during the original T-virus outbreak. And now, over 30 years later, Capcom is bringing us back to this haunted place. The question is, why now? The main character in Requiem is Grace Ashcroft, an FBI analyst with a troubled past. Her latest case leads her to Hotel Renwood.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel.
A mysterious location where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, a journalist from the Resident Evil Outbreak games, was murdered 8 years ago. So this isn't just a case. For Grace, it's personal. What makes it even more intriguing is that Resident Evil Requiem isn't just about viruses or monsters. From the trailer, we see Grace investigating a strange illness, victims found in abandoned places showing bizarre symptoms. The tone feels more investigative than previous entries, which fits Grace's background perfectly.
Report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3.
Put a hold on that for now. Now I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
She's not a soldier. She's not a field agent. She's someone who thinks, observes, and pieces things together. And yes, we're heading back to the RPD, the iconic Raccoon Police Department. But this time, it's in ruins. The walls are cracked, and the backside shows signs of destruction that line up with the missile strike from the end of RE3. Some fans even spotted Leon's old Jeep still parked out front. Is it just an Easter egg? This is where things start to feel off. The case Grace is working on isn't just a murder or a random outbreak. It's tied directly to her mother's death, and maybe to something buried deep within Grace herself.
I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
Grace and the T-virus legacy. One of the most intriguing parts of Resident Evil Requiem is its protagonist, Grace Ashcroft. Not because she's a combat agent or because she has any special abilities, but because she seems normal. An FBI analyst who mostly works behind a desk. And that's exactly where the mystery begins. Why send someone like Grace into a place this dangerous? The case itself is strange. Victims are turning up with infection symptoms that no one can explain. The location? Hotel Renwood, which just so happens to be the very place where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, was murdered 8 years earlier. Now, for those unfamiliar, Alyssa isn't new to the Resident Evil universe. She's one of the survivors from Resident Evil Outbreak, an underrated PS2 spin-off packed with critical lore. In that game, Alyssa was a journalist who dared to investigate a hospital used for virus experiments. She was exposed, suffered memory loss, and barely escaped Raccoon City.
We made it. As a newspaper reporter, I had been involved with bizarre cases before. But this time, I had to learn the hard way that my past experiences were useless. When a horror movie becomes reality, a person's sanity can disappear instantly. I was moving on pure survival.
But the long-term effects of that exposure? That's a blank space. Until now. And this is where the theory comes in. Grace may have inherited traces of the virus from her mother. That doesn't mean Grace is turning into a zombie or some kind of monster, but there might be a dormant genetic signature in her body, maybe a latent T-virus strain or remnants of an umbrella experiment. Whatever it is, it could explain why she was chosen, not to investigate, but to be hunted.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
One trailer scene shows Grace suspended, tied up, with blood being drawn from her veins. That's not an interrogation. That's an experiment. And it gets weirder. Some visuals show Grace experiencing flashbacks, but from Alyssa's point of view. This isn't just psychological trauma. It could be biological, genetic memory being activated. Or worse, Grace and Alyssa might be connected through a virus experiment that goes deeper than anyone thought. One small detail eagle-eyed fans noticed. Grace's eye color changes in one frame, from brown to a glowing blue. Could it be an infection activating, or the result of viral stimulation? In the world of Resident Evil, eye changes are often a red flag, associated with mutation or virus activation, like we saw with Wesker. Then there's the gameplay itself. Grace starts the game unarmed. No guns, no way to fight back right away. All she has is a lighter for light and an empty bottle for distractions. This isn't Jill or Leon-style gameplay. It's survival in its purest form. Think RE7. You're not a fighter. You're just a normal person suddenly forced to survive, and maybe even fight against your own body.
Over here, Mommy.
This theory gains more weight when we consider that the organization behind past experiments, whether Umbrella or something new, may still be operating in the shadows, and this time their target isn't a city or a nation, it's one person, Grace.
Yes?
Imagine if Grace isn't just the target, but the key, a key to reactivating an old virus strain, or the foundation for a brand new version. Maybe she's the only known person whose body naturally adapted to a certain strain. And that makes her priceless. If we connect this to past lore, it's not a new concept. In Resident Evil 6, Sherry Birkin survived because of her unique antibodies.
What the hell? You want to tell me what the hell just happened?
Long story.
Yeah, maybe it's your blood they should be testing for vaccines.
In RE8, Rose Winters was the result of a genetic evolution tied to the mold.
I've got this.
So Capcom creating a new character with biological links to legacy experiments? That fits their pattern perfectly. And Grace? She could be the next link in that chain. A child of the past who never knew her body was carrying something unresolved, something being hunted, hidden, and something that could destroy everything if it falls into the wrong hands.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Who is the hooded figure? Among all the new elements shown in the Resident Evil Requiem trailer, the one that sparked the most curiosity is the mysterious hooded figure. He appears in brief but intense scenes, suffocating someone with a plastic bag, standing motionless in a dark room, always hiding in the shadows. One thing's clear. This isn't just some random character, and he's definitely not your average zombie. The question is, who is he? Some fans were quick to tie him to legacy characters. One theory suggests he could be Albert Wesker, but that doesn't hold up. His posture is too reserved, lacking Wesker's usual flair. What's more intriguing is a theory that connects him to an underrated character from Resident Evil Outbreak, George Hamilton. George was a doctor from Raccoon City who survived the original outbreak, and notably had a rocky relationship with Alyssa Ashcroft, Grace's mother. Let's break down why George's name is suddenly back on the radar.
As a doctor, I must always be at a certain level of preparedness for dealing with such circumstances. I wouldn't consider myself a patriot, but I couldn't just watch people suffer without lending a hand.
Medical background. In the trailer, we see Grace having her blood drawn in a clinical, systematic way. The hooded figure could be the one behind the experiment. George, being a doctor, fits this role surprisingly well. Appearance and style. His outfit strongly resembles George's alternate outdoor expert costume from Outbreak. Even the silhouette and posture suggest someone older, worn down, but still in control. According to files from Outbreak, George and Alyssa didn't get along. They worked together but had personal conflict. If Grace truly inherited something from Alyssa, this figure may have returned to settle old scores, driven by revenge, obsession, or a desire to continue unfinished experiments. Some fans noted that the figure's skin looks deformed or decayed. This could be the result of long-term virus exposure. George was hinted to have been infected in the past, so surviving through unnatural means wouldn't be out of the question. We've seen similar, long-lived characters in the RE universe before. Of course, that's just one theory. Another strong possibility is that this figure is entirely new, designed as a composite of Resident Evil's iconic villain archetypes. He may not dominate early in the story, but instead manipulate events from the shadows. It's very much like what Capcom did in Resident Evil 7, where Jack Baker appeared to be the main threat, only for Eveline to be revealed as the real antagonist.
It fucking hurts!
Does it want to be my daddy? Then he can die.
What's certain is this character has his own agenda. He's not a monster and not a soldier either. He moves with intent, like someone who knows more than anyone else. One shot even shows him watching an experiment unfold from the shadows, like someone who's been planning this for a very long time. When does Leon appear? When the Resident Evil Requiem trailer revealed the ruins of Raccoon City, some fans caught a subtle detail: an old wrecked Jeep sitting outside the crumbling remains of the RPD building. At first glance, many thought it might be a sign that Leon S. Kennedy had already arrived, a potential setup for his return. But upon closer inspection, the theory shifts. That Jeep doesn't look new. It's rusted, damaged, and half buried in debris. It's not a signal of current activity. It's a remnant. In that context, the Jeep isn't a breadcrumb for a future event. So why include it? Capcom loves symbolism, and this feels intentional. It anchors Requiem in the franchise's history, letting players know that while Grace's story is new, the ghosts of the past are still very much present. Still, fans speculate that Leon will appear at some point. Capcom has a habit of holding back major character reveals until later trailers. In Resident Evil Village, Chris Redfield only showed up fully after several months of marketing. The same could be true here. Silent operation. From the beginning, we know Grace is an FBI analyst, but the deeper you look into the trailer and the leaks surrounding Resident Evil Requiem, the more it becomes clear. She's not just some regular agent assigned to investigate a bioterror incident. Many fans have begun to speculate about the involvement of the DSO, the Division of Security Operations. This is a top-secret government agency that operates directly under the president, best known as the organization Leon S. Kennedy joined after the Tall Oaks incident in Resident Evil 6.
The president spoke highly of you, Agent Kennedy.
Likewise.
The DSO isn't just a counter-terror task force. They're a crisis control unit for biological threats, operating entirely off the grid.
You told me you've been friends for 30 years.
I am the National Security Advisor. It's my job to prevent terrorist attacks. I'm not causing it.
You liar!
So the real question is, what's the DSO's role in this? Is Grace actually working with them, or are they watching her without her even realizing it? There are two major theories. First, Grace could be a liaison, a civilian analyst from the FBI embedded in a low-profile investigation before the DSO steps in officially. But the second possibility is much darker. Grace is bait. She wasn't sent to Hotel Renwood to investigate. She was sent there to be tested. A covert field experiment, and the DSO is watching from behind the scenes without telling her a thing.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel. I know that's where your mother was murdered.
We also can't rule out the idea that a more dangerous third party is pulling the strings. Maybe remnants of Umbrella, or even the Connections, the shadowy group tied to Resident Evil 7. They're known for recruiting former Umbrella scientists and continuing illegal experiments off the radar.
Can we begin? can't help it, man. We've got work to do.
And their MO fits the mood of Hotel Renwood perfectly: manipulation, hallucination, and human testing. Here's one subtle but telling clue. According to in-game FBI files, Grace is working alone. No team, no backup, no clear command structure. That's not standard procedure. In the Resident Evil world, if you're sent alone to a site connected to viral experimentation, it's not really an investigation, it's a sacrifice. And if Leon really did arrive before her, as hinted by that old Jeep parked outside the RPD, his role might not be to rescue Grace. He could be there as an overseer, making sure the experiment goes according to plan, or at least doesn't spiral out of control. Behind all of this lies a bigger question. Who's really calling the shots? Is Grace a victim? Are the DSO and FBI operating with good intentions, or playing both sides? And most importantly, if all of this is part of a deeper Black Ops mission, what's the endgame? We might not have the answer yet, but one thing is clear. Requiem isn't just a story about infection. It's a story about betrayal, experimentation, and control. And the war being fought in the shadows may be far more dangerous than anything biological that Grace will face head-on.
You'll never understand. It's magnificent.
The future of Resident Evil, a bridge to a new era. Resident Evil Requiem isn't just the 9th mainline entry. From all the hints Capcom has dropped, it's clear this game is designed as a generational bridge, a major turning point that ties together the series' past, present, and future. On one side, we have Grace Ashcroft, a brand new character with blood ties to a survivor from Resident Evil Outbreak. She's not a fighter or a field agent, but someone who enters the Resident Evil world from its most human side, as a victim, as the child of a haunted past. Grace's background isn't a throwaway detail. Capcom deliberately links her to Alyssa to show that the old timeline hasn't been abandoned. It's alive, both literally and symbolically, in the next generation. On the other side, we see familiar elements return. The RPD, subtle hints of Leon's presence, and a dual-perspective narrative reminiscent of Resident Evil 2. That's not coincidence, it's intentional. Capcom wants Requiem to feel new without discarding what came before. And that matters. For nearly 2 decades, Resident Evil has constantly evolved, from classic survival horror to the action-heavy chaos of RE5 and RE6, before returning to its horror roots with RE7 and Village.
Run!
But Requiem doesn't feel like just another continuation. It feels like a realignment, not a reboot, a reconciliation. One of the strongest signs? The game's structure. Capcom confirmed Requiem can be played in both first-person and third-person, and not as an optional mode like in Village. That's a big design shift, a signal that they recognize different types of players experience fear in different ways, and they're making room for both without sacrificing the core story. Thematically, Requiem leans into trauma, legacy, and hidden truths. It's not just about viruses and monsters, it's about what's left behind after everything falls apart. The trailer is filled with imagery of bleeding ruins, empty buildings that still echo with voices, and figures who keep moving long after they should have died. It's a tone far more personal than the global-scale chaos of RE5 or RE6.
From bad to worse.
Hell, the people here, they're acting like those Donato detailed in the Kennedy room.
Narratively, Capcom has also hinted that this may be the final mainline title to carry a number. RE9 could mark the end of numbered entries, with future games built as standalone stories or narrative arcs, similar to Revelations, but with the scope and production value of a mainline title. If that's true, then Requiem is a transition point. A foundation for what comes next. Grace might carry the torch from characters like Ethan Winters, or carve her own path entirely. Leon and other legacy characters might return not as protagonists, but as mentors, a sign of narrative generational shift. But no matter what shape the future takes, one thing is certain. Capcom is restructuring how they tell Resident Evil stories. And they're not starting from scratch. They're starting from the rubble, literally, of Raccoon City. In a way, Requiem is Capcom's way of saying, we're not done. The Resident Evil world still holds secrets. There are still characters, places, and stories that remain unfinished. And if Requiem succeeds, it won't just be a great horror game. It could be a new landmark for the franchise. Not just closing a chapter, but opening the door to something completely new. And if that happens, Resident Evil won't just be a series that survived for 30 years. It'll be a series that knew when to evolve, without ever forgetting where it came from. And that's it for today's breakdown. Whether these theories turn out to be true or not, one thing's clear. Resident Evil Requiem is hiding something big. If you've got your own theories or spotted details we missed, drop them in the comments. Midnight out.